is the Go Radio Football Show. Listen anytime, wherever you get your podcasts. Call 0808 17 17 700.
Let's go.
Good evening. At 5, we're just 24 hours away from Rangers coming out in Athens. 2 up from last week against Panathinaikos, and Rangers flew out there this lunchtime after training this morning out at Auchenhowie. A couple of the players who probably won't play because they didn't train this morning, Asgard and Egaman. Mark Guidi is with us, so too is Andy Walker. You can speak to them now, 0808 17 17 700, as the transfer window has a month to go, and lots of Celtic fans have been on in the last few days unhappy with the lack of activity. Celtic, I'm sure, would say there's a month to go. Mark, first of all, Rangers tomorrow night. It was a great start last weekend. I mean, a tough game for them on Tuesday, but a really good result. What are you thinking ahead of the game tomorrow?
It was a brilliant result, Paul, to win. I mean, I said on the show before, I would have taken a draw for Rangers, something to go over there with, considering, it's a new team, it's a new manager, etc. So to win 2-0, keep a clean sheet, obviously it helped Panathinaikos down to 10 men, but Rangers still had a job to do. They still had to work hard. Tremendous for young Finlay Curtis to get on the score sheet. That's a real plus point, finding that young Scottish talent and getting him into the team. That's what Russell Martin's got to do, get his developing players and improve them. But they've given themselves an outstanding chance, Paul. Tomorrow it'll be really tough in Athens, with a lot of work still to be done. Panathinaikos are a good side. Jack Butland to pull off 2 or 3 top saves. I'm sure that it'll be the same again tomorrow, but it's a chance to go a step closer to that £40 million jackpot. It's a game changer, Paul. Whatever we say, the Champions League money is a game changer, and Rangers have given themselves a right good chance tomorrow night.
And as you know, Russell Martin said this is not going to be season defining, what happens in the tournament, but if they can win tomorrow night, it will go a long way to making it a big season for them.
I agree, it doesn't define their season, but it certainly defines their season financially. And I think that's maybe one of the reasons what Celtic are doing. They're waiting to see what will happen with Rangers. If Rangers get through tomorrow, if they get through to the Champions League proper and get that bounty that Mark was referring to, then I think Celtic will begin to do business. And Celtic will always be they'll also be wary of their own predicament. They've got one difficult qualifier to navigate before they know that they can get that money again. I know that the money's lying there in the bank, but this seems to be the way they work.
It seemed a while away, Mark, but as you know, it's only 3 weeks. Celtic could be in action 3 weeks tonight or tomorrow. Champions League qualifier. They haven't had to do that for 3 years, and for them that's massive as well.
For another £40 million. Paul, I've said in the end of last season, Celtic's transfer window, their mindset should be it's July the 31st, no, August the 31st, to give them the chance to bed in their new players. I think they're woefully short at the moment, Paul, woefully short, and they really need to up their game behind the scenes. I think right now, as it stands, the transfer window for Celtic, if you're Brendan Rodgers, if you're a Celtic supporter that's ploughed in your season ticket money, I think it's unacceptable as it stands right now. So there's still time, but if you're not getting new players signed by this weekend for the game against St Mirren, you only have 3 games or 2 games even before the first Champions League qualifier, away to Pittodrie, and then the game at home to Falkirk in the League Cup. So it's not a lot. So right now as it stands, I think it's very, very disappointing from Celtic.
Andy, are you concerned from a Celtic point of view, or do you have to?
I think you've just seen it all before, and I've absolutely no doubt Celtic will do some business, but I think they're just waiting for see where Rangers are. If Rangers don't get through, can't see Celtic spending a lot of money. They'll do just enough to steer clear of Rangers. But I think if you speak any Celtic fan I've spoken to, they want the club to not only emulate what they did in European football last season, but could they go better? Could they get through that league phase? And even although you're up against the likes of Bayern Munich, you saw how close Celtic were to getting through there, and it brought this newfound credibility as a European side. They've been so dominant in Scotland. So many Celtic supporters want to see them making their mark on the European stage.
Celtic fans, what are you thinking? You can speak to Andy and Mark, 0808 17 17 700. And Rangers fans, tomorrow night. Rangers' record in Europe in recent seasons has been exceptional. Can that continue tomorrow under Russell Martin? Some of the other headlines, well, this morning we talked about him last night. Rangers are in the hunt for young teenage sensation, he's been called, Mark, in the paper. Mikey Moore at Tottenham. He's had chances to go to championship teams. They don't want to send him there. He's not gone away with Tottenham this week. He's there, and Rangers close to getting a loan deal for the 17-year-old winger.
Yeah, he's 17, but he's a talent, Paul, and clearly there's been conversations between Spurs and Rangers, and they must be guaranteed first team football, but otherwise Spurs wouldn't let him go. They're not letting him go to come and play in the Lowland League or play under 21 games up here. So there clearly has been a conversation with Russell Martin and Thomas Frank, or whoever it may be, just below Thomas Frank, to have that kind of discussion. But certainly on the glimpses that I've had of him in the Spurs first team last season, and he scored in Europe for them, then he's a talent. But again, like we said with Finlay Curtis 5 minutes ago, that's what Russell Martin really has to excel, is getting players and helping develop. Now, you might be helping develop them for Spurs, I get that bigger picture, but in terms of week to week on the training ground to help Rangers win games of football, because ultimately what the aim of Russell Martin, what he's been brought in to do, is to win a title, is to beat Celtic over 38 games, and he believes that adding the likes of Mikey Moore is going to give them a much better chance of doing that.
He's 18 in 2 weeks' time, Andy, so he's still young, but he's not 16, which he was when he had his first. Ange threw him in then. Yeah,
I think all you're doing is you're buying into potential. I mean, he's got a good physique. He's clearly desperate to play, and we say this about young Scottish players at the big clubs up here. You got to go and play if you want to develop your game and start having a good career. Nobody wants to play with Spurs reserves until you're 21, 22. You want to get out there and show what you can do. If this is an opportunity, if he's one of the ones that's really ready, even before his 18th birthday, that would be extraordinary for him to come in and make a big impact. But Russell Martin, I'm sure, will know all about him.
Some of the names being mentioned for Celtic, there's Josh Brownhill, 29-year-old, as you know, a midfielder. It was announced on Monday he was leaving Burnley. West Ham are in for him as well. Andy,
he's a good player, Brownhill. I've seen
him,
a lot of him, and he would do well for Rangers, a bit like Rothwell, Aarons, who've got this experience at Bournemouth playing in the Premier League. The level of competition that you get there on a weekly basis, even with the so-called smaller side, you see what the likes of Bournemouth and Brighton have done in the last few years. They're challenging for European football. So I think he would do a right good job if they got him.
Yep, he could do well for Celtic if he were to come. Mark, you've seen him as well.
Yeah, like Andy, he's good. And you think of Burnley, how well they performed last season under Scott Parker.
Straight back up.
I'm actually surprised that he's not been given a new contract. I don't know the full background to it, but he made a major contribution. He's been linked with Celtic probably for about 6 months now, Paul, so I think it's maybe been on the cards that he was going to get out a contract. And if you can get a player like Josh Brownhill on a free transfer, albeit he'll command a big salary, at 29, he fits the identikit that Brendan Rodgers is looking for. He's looking for some ready-made quality players, and Brownhill absolutely ticks that box. So if Celtic can get that one over the line, then I think that'd be a tremendous piece of business.
And you know that today Celtic and Strasbourg have been reported to have submitted offers for the Man City 19-year-old English defender Jahmai Simpson-Pusey. So young player. Celtic do need more strength at the back, don't they? You'd imagine. So his name's been mentioned, but no word yet whether or not. You get so many names at this time of the year.
Yeah, well, again, if you're bringing him on loan without an option to buy, then you clearly think he's first team ready. Or Man City want him to go and play first team football. I don't know enough about Simpson-Pusey, Paul, to say, is he better than Trusty? Is he better than Scales? Is he better? Where does he fit in to what Celtic are trying to do? Because again, like we've just said with Mikey Moore, if you're going to let him go, you're not bringing him up here to play in the Lowland League. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't suit what Man City would want to do. So is he good enough to come and play in the first team? Then we'd need to wait and see.
Celtic fans, what are you thinking? 08 17 700 ahead of the kick-off this weekend, Andy, and you enjoyed it as a Celtic player, going back as champions and looking to do it again.
Yeah, we didn't manage to do it again. It's always, I hear so many people talking about how difficult it is to win, and even maybe more difficult to try and retain it and maintain that level of success. But I've no doubt that Celtic will do some business before the end of the window, and they will go into the season as favourites to get it back. I think what we will see is a level of improvement from Rangers where I can't see them struggling as they did last season to not beat St Mirren, Motherwell, Kilmarnock, those type of teams, and it happens so often. We didn't really have a title race last season, and I think we're all looking forward to the first few games and the build up to that first Old Firm match at Ibrox and see how it goes from there.
Fans often say, look, they don't want it, they want to be 10, 20 points ahead, but I'm not so sure. I mean, deep down, you want an edge to the game.
I've got so many family and friends who would love to see a tighter race. They just want an edge to their football on a weekly basis. I think a lot of people are like that.
Mark?
And the onus is on Rangers, Paul. Celtic have won 4 in a row. They've delivered season after season over 38 games. So the onus is on Rangers to get their act together and to go and produce the goods. Now we know that Rangers can do it in one-off games. Proved it last season going to Celtic Park and winning, but it's over 38 games. You've got to produce it, and now it's up to Russell Martin to get the very best out of the squad that he ends up with come September the 1st when the transfer window closes. So yeah, it would be great. It would be great to have a league race. We'd all love, we've had a few that have gone to the wire, gone to the right last day of the season in the past 25 years, and we would love nothing more than that again this season.
The same with Rangers. You just want Aberdeen to try and build on their Scottish Cup success. You want Hibs to be as consistent as they were after forgetting the first couple of months of the season. And of course we all expect big things from Hearts now that they've got Derek McInnes in as manager, and it should be a very competitive league this season.
Hibs, of course, have got Michelin coming to town. 1-1. Wasn't a bad result at all the other night. We'll speak about it shortly. And Dundee United 1 goal up going to Luxembourg. So 0808 17 17 700. There's a slew of calls coming in. Shall we take the first one? Mark, you ready?
Yes, absolutely.
Andy? Reagan is on the line. Hi, Reagan.
Paul, great to be on. Thank you for having me on.
Very good to hear you.
Hi, Reagan.
Hi,
Reagan.
What's
Hi
topic?
guys, how you doing?
Yeah, they're good, thank you. What's in your mind Celtic wise?
Well, Paul, I'm just wanting Celtic to spend the money, Paul. But this has been the first year that I've been lucky to spend that money. I managed to get a season ticket, Paul. So I just want to see the Celtic board spend their money, and I know people keep saying Celtic need a wide player.
Yeah.
I think Celtic need 2 wide players, Paul, because they sold Nicholas, but Jota's going to be out.
Yeah, I think we agree with you.
Jota.
Yeah,
and then you've got Celtic have still not replaced Kyogo as well, and they're looking at a project for the centre back as well. So I just want Celtic to spend their money, and I really don't think that if they don't spend that money, then they risk and Brendan Rodgers not signing that new contract, because I believe that he wants to sign, but I just don't feel like Brendan Rodgers' ambitions are being met by the club, and I think it's wrong by the club, because Brendan Rodgers, like Mark said, has delivered 4 titles in a row. Brendan Rodgers has done all he can, so now it's down to the board to do all they can for Brendan Rodgers.
Mark, what would you say?
Yeah, I said in the programme last week, Paul, that I'm certain that Brendan Rodgers wants to stay and would happily sign a new contract, a new extended deal. But I don't think he'd be signing it under the current circumstances. That's my point. So he does want to stay, but you've got to make it attractive for him to stay. And at the moment, I would imagine that, given what's happened in the transfer window so far, I think Brendan Rodgers will be frustrated and disappointed, like most Celtic fans. And obviously Kieran Tierney's been brought in, which is an outstanding signing. Free transfer, doesn't matter. Brilliant signing. But they knew that was happening in January, Paul. Jota get injured start of May, and Kuhn I think there's been a good idea inside Celtic Park since January, February, that Coons probably wanted to go, and there was a kind of inevitability that happened with him. So this is just not something that's been brought on by surprise, and that's why when you listen to Regan there, and I'm sure many other Celtic supporters, there's a clear frustration, and I think there's a bit of pressure on the Celtic board. Now, don't just go and spend money for the sake of it, but they do have a lot of money there, Paul. They have been in the black in terms of trading for most transfer windows. So I think it's really time for the Celtic board and everybody inside the football club to really up their game. Really up their game. Still time to make it a fantastic window. You get 4 weeks to go, but Andy saying at the top of the show, one eye across the city. I don't know if that's the case, but if that is the case, for me, if I was a Celtic supporting season ticket holder that's paying my money, or Brendan Rodgers, I would find that totally unacceptable. And I hope what Andy's saying is not true, because that is no way to run Celtic if that's the case.
That's sounding like a lack of ambition at the moment, Regan, doesn't it? Sounds like a lack of ambition. But I know the Celtic board could say, listen, they've won a double last season, should have been the treble, double the year before, they've dominated, was it 12 out of 13 titles,
13 out of 14.
13 out of 14.
I think Regan is representative of so many fans, and it's all about the timing. I've got absolutely no doubt players will come in before the end of the window, but your first league game is on when is it? It's on Sunday. And your Champions League qualifier follows pretty quickly after that, and I think that is where the frustration builds, because you want your team ready for the start of the season. And I know there's this great anomaly where you've got 4 or 5 games that you play before the window closes, so I've got no doubt that business will be done, but the season is upon us at the weekend.
Regan?
Yeah, my final point, Paul, just what I ask the guys is, I was talking to a friend the other day, and he was saying that he doesn't believe that Celtic will spend much money if they don't make it through the Champions League. Surely they can't do that, Paul. I mean, they're knowing for 6 months that Kyogo's not going to be there and they need to replace him. So surely they can't wait until they know if they get into Champions League or not.
Yep.
Well, I agree with you, Regan. I don't think, again, that's a way to operate. You've got to, like we say, we know that Celtic have got tens and tens and tens of millions in the bank. We know at the moment, in terms of players in and out, just in this window for the past 2 or 3 weeks, that Celtic are running about 15 million to the good. So really, there's no excuse. I genuinely don't believe that there's any excuse for it, and they can't just go out and strengthen the squad in August, the 28th or 29th, if they know that they're in the Champions League. For me, that's no way to do it. And again, I'll go back to the point, if you're a Celtic supporter, particularly ones 52,000 out there that pay money to be season ticket holders, I'd find that absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah, they deserve better.
Yeah, I think so, but you look at what has happened in previous years. We're just following the same pattern. This is what they do, and then they'll tell you that they're really successful. So as much as it's a level of frustration for Reagan and for thousands like him, this is what they do. And I'll say it again, Celtic will do business between now and the end of the season. I think Reagan's right. They need another wide man. They maybe need a defender. They certainly need a striker. And we'll soon find out at what level they will be prepared to spend that. You listen to Brendan Rodgers, all he talks about is quality.
And the thing is, well, we've been speaking earlier, I don't know if Regan agrees, like somebody like Josh Brownhill, who's a talent, who's got a proven pedigree, a really good CV, and really be feeling really good about himself, just helped Burnley get promotion. So he's available for nothing. Now again, it'd be a fat contract to get, and he deserves it. But yeah, it's not all about spending 5, 6, 7, 8 million quid. If you can do it, then fine, absolutely. But it's about how you spend the money. Like Kieran Tierney, free transfer, brilliant business. So Brownhill would be the same. Say that you don't need to spend millions, but just go and get some really good players in the door.
And Greg Taylor probably wanted to know he would play more regularly than he would have under the new setup with Kieran Tierney, but they haven't replaced him, and they're going to need somebody surely. Inamura did okay, I think, in the games during the summer there, but they don't have a natural replacement.
I think it looks to me as though Inamura is going to be really close to the cesspot, and they might think, Josh, we don't need another left back. It might be, I don't know. You don't know what you're thinking. If this young boy from Man City's coming in again, Simpson-Pusey, we don't know. Could be, I think, okay, they think maybe moving Scales over one. Does he become the kind of, there's a lot of kind of maybe moving parts in terms of that, but they need to do better in the transfer window. Lennon Miller's going to go from Motherwell. He should be a Celtic player. Paul, Celtic the chance to go and get business done in early January. There was a real opportunity, a real window there for Celtic to go and get Lennon Miller in early January, and they missed the opportunity, and now he's going to go abroad.
It's looking like.
And Brendan Rodgers wanted Lennon Miller.
He wanted him
100%.
I remember you said
Brendan Rodgers wanted him.
I listened to what you say. So does the Go Radio Massive, Mark, and you said it at the turn of the year. Look out for Lennon Miller. But it looks as though Bologna are coming in for him. He could be there with Lewis Ferguson or Udinese. Very much. And I think there's one or two other European teams have come in from Paul. So I would expect Lennon Miller over the next 4 or 5 days to be sold.
I think for Motherwell's sake, he's got to go now. They want to get as much as they can. They can't afford to let his contract run down. You wouldn't want that. And I'm sure he will go to, whether it's Celtic or abroad. It's just a really exciting next step for him.
Regan, I'm really pleased you've got your season ticket as you go on Sunday. Do you think, you're always really fair though, do you think Rangers are going to do it tomorrow night against Panathinaikos?
Yeah, I do, Paul. I think they'll be strong enough. That 2-goal lead, I know it's going to be very hot over in Greece.
Yeah.
So it'll be a very tough match for them, but I do think Rangers will see it through. I think it'll be a draw.
Jack Butland could be huge for him because he was massive for them last Tuesday night. It's been a good summer for you, Regan. I suspect you're so pleased to get back to the real stuff this week.
Oh, Paul, I'm so looking forward to it. It'll be good, and so good to have you guys back on.
Thanks a million. Cheers, Regan.
This is the Go Radio Football Show. Call 0808 17 17 700.
Let's go.
Thanks for making the switch to the Go Radio Football Show. Last week, I think we had 300,000 impressions, whatever that means, Mark, but lots of people have been
good impressions.
Yeah. I didn't say they were good impressions, but listening, social media as well, because it goes far and wide. Some of the stuff that came out last week from Barry, his first time speaking was here in that chair where you are tonight. Charlie Mulgrew as well. They've picked up on him a few times. Andy, no doubt you're going to come out with something tonight which will get you banned from somewhere. No.
That wouldn't be a first.
No, indeed. So Mark, no pressure, but
Andy's doing fine.
Listen, thank you so much. It's good to be back on from 5. We kick off every day early, 5 o'clock, because people just love the football. They're desperate. You heard it with Reagan there. See some messages here. Willie is on saying, can't wait, good luck Rangers. He thinks it's going to be 2-2 tomorrow night.
Desmond.
Wow. Yep.
That would do Rangers all day long. That'd be a great result.
Yep.
That would be a great result.
What do they do? We know how Russell Martin likes to play, but tomorrow night, because they'll throw everything. I would imagine Panathinaikos at Rangers, it's going to be boiling 36, 37 degrees. It's some atmosphere in there. Barry spoke about
crowd,
isn't it? You've been there, haven't you?
Yeah. Been to Athens to cover games, Paul, and that kind of heat. Remember, Barry probably played was one of Dick Cavacat's ones, Pauk Salonika, and it was wild. So look, they'll be really up against it. The conditions, and then on the part, they'll need to withstand early pressure. There's no doubt about that. And you've mentioned them, Paul, tonight in the show. The most important man in the park will be Jack Butland. Of course, it's going to take a team effort. There'll be substitutes involved as well. It'll be a collective if you're going to get through under the circumstances tomorrow. But what a chance they've given themselves, to go and win 2-0 last week. Ibrox was absolutely sensational, and let's hope Rangers can follow up tomorrow night with another solid 90 minutes.
I've got absolutely no doubt this is one of the reasons that Russell Martin came to Rangers, for the potential of playing Champions League football. I mean, even this, a two-legged affair of such importance, he's never had that before. You don't get that at Swansea, you don't get it at Southampton. Of course, he's played in big games in the Premier League up against some of the top dogs, Man United, City, Liverpool, Arsenal, but a two-legged affair that gives you another step to try and get to the full Champions League qualification. That's exactly one of the reasons why he's up there, a really big one, and they've got a great chance. I think they'll do it as well with a 2-goal advantage. it should be enough to see them through.
Joe Rothwell impressed you last week, and Barry was saying the same thing last night. Charlie too, and
Can't
Andy.
be a bit
Yeah.
of experience,
Yeah.
and I think he'll do really well for Rangers this season.
Mark.
He's captain material for me.
Yeah.
Paul, you know, I said last week in the show, I thought, and this is nothing against James Tavernier, but I thought just Russell Martin coming in, I'd really have mixed it up, and I would have moved the captaincy on it, and I probably would have given it to somebody like Joe Rothwell. He's a kind of player that Rangers really missed last season in terms of that level of consistency. You know, winning week in, week out, somebody right in the middle of the park, right in the engine room of the team. And I think Rothwell, and again, I don't know, was he a free? It was about £1 million or something like that. He's cost. So, you know, I think that's that, because we're a really good bit of business.
400, yeah, half €500,000, I think. So £400,000.
Yeah, great business.
Phenomenal, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And a great age,
Yeah.
great experience, and likewise Aaron's. But I think the one thing Rangers need to develop is to try and get a bit more balance in their team, get a few more left-footed players. We saw last week that so many. It was practically a right-footed team. I know Diomande can be quite comfortable on his left, but you want to get that natural balance. Even Finlay Curtis, very rarely did he go on the outside, and of course he scored a brilliant goal cutting inside and getting the aid of that deflection to get that opening goal. But it's great to see someone like that get an opportunity. Not just get the opportunity, but he's actually taken it, and you now want him to go a step further.
And we've seen Rangers so many times under the pump in Europe, away from home, but that creates opportunities, and they're great on the break, as they did against Fenerbahce.
They've got a style, and they've had a style under the previous 5 managers. If you go back to Steven Gerrard, to Philippe Clement, to Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, getting them to Europa League final, and even Barry, you know, going to Fenerbahce against Jose Mourinho's team, getting that fantastic result. Been really unlucky against Atletico Bilbao over there as well. So they've had a way of finding a way to produce results at Europa League level. You know, they've really made that sort of competition their own, Paul, and excelled in it consistently well. And tomorrow night is a step up in terms of this is a Champions League, and this is where, you know, it's a hell of an ask to go and get through all those qualifiers, to go and try and get to that 40 million, but that's what you've got to aim for. That is what it's all about. That's what Rangers want to be, and as Andy says, that's one of the reasons why Russell Martin's up here. And I also think too, we've mentioned Finlay Curtis, I think there's a real onus, and I think it would help Russell Martin in terms of his relationship with the Rangers supporters, and I think there's a real, he really needs to go and find a couple of young Rangers players, a couple of young guys in the academy, and really go and work with them, because you want to see that identity in the team. And if you can do that as a coach, I think that's great kudos to you, and I think it really helps you curry flavours in so many sorts away. So him and Russell Martin and his staff will really be working with Finlay Curtis, and hopefully there's one or two others as well that can get into that first team.
The thing I would ask about any Rangers supporter, who is it that would scare the opposition? I mean, I think you had that at times with Dessers and at times with Czerny last season, but right now, and neither of them started last week, of course. Who scares you? You want some of your players to really concern the opposition. And as I've said, I think Celtic have got that in abundance. They've got Callum McGregor in the middle, they've got a captain material at the back, and Carter Vickers when he plays. They've now got Kieran Tierney, who's another sort of captain material. Up front, you had Kyogo, I know he's away now, but you've got Maeda. He scares the opposition. I think that's a big difference just now, and Celtic haven't even done any business yet, but that's a big difference just now in the way I'm looking at Celtic and Rangers. And I know that there's still pretty much a month to go before the season, the window closes.
No, my view for Celtic, and they should be looking to target players that are going to help them in Europe. And if you're targeting players that are going to help you in Europe, then automatically that would help you completely blow Rangers out the water. I mean, it would. It would. And Celtic are in a position to go and do that, regardless what Russell Martin does. Now, if Russell Martin gets one to Champions League, that's 40 million. Okay, that gives you an opportunity to go and buy 2 or 3 top players. But in terms of Celtic, you know, I don't know what the internal thinking is, but I would like to think that it's not just looking across the city to try and stay half a step ahead. It's about, look what we did in Europe last season with our manager. Let's go and try and kick on. I'm not saying get a Champions League semi-final. I think that's pie in the sky, but be really competitive. Really go and make a game of it against any team in any circumstance. So they should be targeting really good players that are going to do well for you in Europe, rather than targeting players that you think are going to help you beat Rangers. Because as Andy says, I've probably got, if you to stop the transfer window right now and go with the squads on both sides of the city, Celtic should win the league by 10 points. They should, but they should be aiming for much higher than that, because they've got the financial muscle to go and do that.
And that squad needs freshening up as well, though.
It does.
You saw it at the cup final. There was something missing. I know that can happen in any game, but it was unlike
a lot of
Celtic.
Possession, but a lot of just coming from the right into the middle, to the left, to the middle, to the right, and then no real penetration. I liked the effort early on from Greg Taylor, a shot at goal from outside the box, which you rarely see now, because Celtic just want to get to the byline, they want to cut it back. So it was a huge disappointment to the Celtic support, but credit to Aberdeen, they got the job done, and the scenes of them winning were probably good for Scottish football.
Billy's on, a regular caller, 0808 17 17 700, saying who is up front. Is it Danilo tomorrow night, or do you think Dessers could be there to do what he did, for example, at Old Trafford? Scored down there. What do you feel?
Danilo got a goal at the weekend, didn't he?
Did.
So he's put himself in a good position. He started last week, but Dessers, you just wonder with Dessers, Paul. I'm not quite sure what level of fitness he's at in terms of match play, but he's been linked with a move to Greece. You could imagine Dessers going tomorrow thinking, I could really do myself some good here. Obviously he'd want to do it first and foremost for Rangers, but in terms of he's clearly available, he's clearly one that Rangers are looking to cash in on. And you wouldn't rule Dessers out coming up with something tomorrow night. 29 goals last season. Barry spoke about him at length last night, just saying, and he said he's a good finisher. He said, I know he misses some chances, but he reckoned that he is a good finisher, but he seems to be out of the picture at the moment, maybe with a view to selling him. And
one of the things Rangers have to improve upon is selling, doing business, getting them in cheap, fattening them up, selling them on, making a bit of a profit. Go again with some of your contacts, always being aware of who can be available. And that is where Celtic have been streets ahead of Rangers in the last number of years.
But Danilo, 2 years yesterday, Andy, as you know, since he signed for Rangers. We know about the injuries.
I've still to see what he's got. I've still to see what he has to offer. I don't know if he scares the opposition. I think Danilo, alright, let's see what he's got, because he's not done anything on a consistent basis. I absolutely accept he has struggled with injury, but he's clearly one who has to do more.
3 days, 50 hours to go before that man JBA, the new Motherwell manager, he's on Sky at the moment being interviewed from Fir Park. He's up against Rangers. I wonder if it will be Danilo. Will Rangers still be in the Champions League after the game tomorrow night? It's been a summer of change, hasn't it? So many of the clubs,
4 or 5 new managers, 4 or 5 new clubs. Although a couple of the same old faces, Derek McInnes going from Killie Hart, Stuart Kettlewell, almost like from Motherwell, to Kilmarnock, and so there's plenty to be excited about, Paul, I think.
Rangers fans, what do you feel ahead of tomorrow night? A few predictions coming in. 1-1 is there as well from Liam. Again, that would do. It could go all the way, couldn't it? It could go with Rangers 2 up. Peter was saying last week, if only, Raskin had a chance. Peter Grant, he's on tomorrow night with Rob and also Richard Foster, who's he's 40 on Thursday.
Is he?
Richard, birthday, is it? Happy birthday, Richard.
Indeed.
Happy birthday.
Amy will be writing a song for him.
Happy birthday to you.
So 1-1. A few people are there saying that. Billy is also giving us his prediction. So if you want to come on and speak to Andy and to Mark, the number 0808 17 17 700. Mark, if only Rangers, Celtic had the kind of money that they have down south, because Jack Grealish, clearly he's not really wanted. He's not fitted in. Last season it didn't work for him. He's not in the pre-season. Well, he wasn't at the World Cup, the Club World Cup. So I wonder where he's going. And there's a Scottish connection because of Davy Moyes at Everton wants him.
It's clearly surplus to requirements under Pep Guardiola. It was £100 million signing from Aston Villa. He'll be available for a fraction of that, and whether it's in loan or whether it's permanent. I'd love to see Jack Grealish play for Everton. For David to go and get a player like that, I think it'd be great. He is looking for wide players. He's looking for that bit of creativity. Not easy to find, players that can really unlock defences and make a difference in the final third. And I can imagine Grealish going to the new Everton Stadium, 50,000 there every week. Yeah, I think that could be a really good move. I'd love to see that one come off.
I think he's great. I think he will go somewhere that he'll try and get his career back on track. I also wonder about Jamie Vardy, and I know that obviously Brendan Rodgers knows him well. I know that he's been linked with Rangers. I still think he's got you remember years ago when the likes of Jermaine Defoe came up to Rangers and showed what he was all about, still had the quality. And you wonder, I mean, he's obviously starting 11 ready. He's got all the experience. I think he's still got the fitness. Would he fancy a year up here with Champions League football? It's I wouldn't rule it out.
He'd be box office, wouldn't he?
And he would be box office.
People would love to see him.
Great player.
And the missus up there as well. The Wagatha Christie tales continue. Yeah. But Mark, could you see it?
Jamie Vardy, yeah. But I think just exactly you've mentioned there, Paul. If I'm a manager, so it's only either Rangers or Celtic that could be in the mix for him for obvious reasons. But my thing would be, I don't think there's any doubt that Jamie Vardy could come up with Scottish football for a year and bang in 25 goals. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But do you want the entourage? Do you want that as part of your football club? Because it will become part of your football club. Do you want that? If I'm a manager, not for me.
Other names, Craig Bellamy came up, later on in his career, Andy, but he was a terrific player, doing great stuff at Wales now as manager.
Robbie Keane had a spell at Celtic as well, scored a few goals. So I think the attraction of Champions League football, the attraction of this mystique that they have down south, Celtic and Rangers going head to head, I think we're all expecting it to be a bit closer, a bit tighter this year. Celtic will still be favourites, I've no doubt about that, but it's a great sell for anyone.
Who's going to win the league? We're going to ask both of you in the next hour or so. And who is going to come third? Is it going to be, well, we'll find out next.
This is the Go Radio Football Show. Listen anytime, wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's go! Let's go!
Counting down now to the kick-off Saturday and then Sunday as well. Looking forward to all the games. Saturday, 3 o'clock, Kilmarnock under Stuart Kettlewell, of course, against Livingston, who are back up. David Martindale still there, survived the championship and came back in the playoffs. And then 5:30, live on Sky, Motherwell against Rangers. And Sunday, Falkirk, newly promoted as champions, of course, against Dundee United, who are in action against the Luxembourg team. Dundee against Hibs. Dundee, of course, with Stephen Presley up against Hibs, who've got a huge game against Michelin on Thursday night. They'll be Thursday, and Celtic, the champions, 4:30 against St Mirren. And then on Monday night, it's the long weekend of football, brilliant, Hearts against Aberdeen. So wow,
that's a cracker,
isn't it?
That's a great Monday night game.
Real needle in that one, isn't it?
I like it, and obviously the association with Derek McInnes and Aberdeen. I know he's been at Kilmarnock in the interim, but no, that'll be a big crowd, big travelling support. That'll be a great game.
Rangers in action, Panathinaikos tomorrow night. Russell Martin will be speaking shortly to the media over there in Athens, one of the great cities. I've never been. You've obviously have been, Mark.
Never been to Athens?
Never been? No,
never been.
No, not allowed in. No, I've never been.
Covered a few. Good city. And one thing I liked about Russell Martin, Paul, or one of the things just now that he's up here and it's live, was Saturday. His post-match comments about some of his team not impressed him in the warm-up. It shows that he's watching everything. He's not missing a trick. He has got them under the microscope. In pre-season, he had to fine a few players for stepping out of line, which is, I think, is quite unusual now, but there you are. So he's found out a few things about some of his players as well. And then on Saturday at the warm-up, so like I say, I think he's a really good appointment, but I think if he's given time, he can do very, very well at Rangers. I really do think that he is the type of guy that's capable of going and taking the title from Celtic. Maybe not necessarily this season, but give him a couple of windows. But he is not missing a trick. He's on the ball. He's a good manager.
I've got to say, that's a worry. If you've got players who aren't switched on at pre-season, who want to impress a new manager, who are actually just not professional enough, and they're going to get one row and they're not going to do it again, I'm not sure I believe that. Because if you're that type of player, you'll try and do it again when things are quiet. And there's not
You need to get
many.
rid of them, Andy, don't you? You need to find a way to get rid of
You
them.
need to get rid of players that don't have the right attitude and are not tuned in to every single game. It's totally unacceptable.
And I know Barry said last night they don't have to get rid of any of the players, but they must want to get the wage bill down. Ben Davies, where's it?
Paul, there's about 150 grand a week going to waste at Rangers, and they've had this for a number of years now. And I said that's why they're not the champions, because they're carrying guys, professional players that are not good enough to be at Rangers. That's the bottom line, but are getting top wages. You're right, for whatever reason, your Ben Davies, your Rabbi Matondo, Berami, £3.5 million last year. We could probably name 3 or 4 more. So you've got to get rid, because there's been too many players there that clearly are not up to the task. And we've heard it from Billy Dodds, who worked closely with that squad for 3 months, and they said basically what his line was: too many passengers.
Yeah. He was brutal, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He didn't hang around. Kieran Dowell, obviously he's featured, Andy, and
Played
yet,
last week, in the big game.
he's a player who we haven't seen that much of during his time at Rangers. Do you think he has a realistic chance of?
He's got a lot to do to convince I think the Rangers support that he could play on a weekly basis and someone that you could trust. But obviously with the new manager coming in, maybe he is one of those guys who is a wee bit more focused, maybe wants to try and impress a new voice. Maybe he's got a better relationship with him. But Rangers need improvements all over the pitch.
I see Jack Butland speaking to the media today before they flew out from
I heard his
Glasgow.
interview, Paul.
How was he?
Yeah, it was good. He's just basically saying that obviously, his level of consistency last season wasn't good enough for the standards that he sets for himself, and obviously very pleased with himself for his performance last midweek against Panathinaikos, and rightly so. And he's going to have to produce that kind of thing tomorrow night. And he's one, Paul, that he could still be away. He's one that they could still. Again, I said it last week. You look down south, there's a goalkeeping transfer merry-go-round going on in the English Premier League, and Butland may well fit in to some of that. And Rangers might think, if we can get 3-4 million quid from him and get him off the wage bill, if they've got somebody else lined up, then that's something that you couldn't rule out.
Yeah, I read him saying that how disappointed he was to be dropped by Barry,
but it was the right decision.
Well, exactly.
It was and he was lucky he actually stayed in the team as long as he did.
It's true. That's a tough decision.
A tough decision, but you've got to say he's taken it, and it has registered with him, and his form wasn't good. But look what he's done this pre-season. He's come back, and at the early part of the season, maybe one of the biggest games, he's been in top form.
Hard to get really good goalkeepers, isn't it? We just see on Sky at the moment there's Craig Gordon now 105. He's 40. Indeed. He's amazing, isn't he? What is he, 42? And alongside Xander Clark, who hardly kicked the ball last season.
I hope Xander. Craig Gordon's not going to be fit for another 6 or 7 weeks at least. So Xander Clark will be the Hearts number 1, and Steve Clark, Paul, will be praying that Xander Clark gets off to a good start at Hearts. So he's live in the telly on Monday night against Aberdeen. What an opening game. And if Xander Clark can get those tours, can have a good month of August, Xander Clark will be the Scotland number 1 for the start of the World Cup qualifiers in September. There's no doubt about that, and I wish Xander Clark all the best. I know him a good goalkeeper, a good lad.
You rate him?
I do. Paul, we're struggling for goalies badly. I can't remember has ever been this bad in terms of goalkeeper. So there's a real chance for Xander Clark to go and make the Hearts jersey, but the Scotland jersey he's on.
Amazing to see Angus Gunn in the sort of PFA tryouts, looking for a club when he's played at such a big level before, of course with international football too, but he's on the lookout for another club.
Good time to be a goalkeeper, Mark. A wee bit late for you maybe, but because we do it crying out for it. Has something changed?
Just a wee bit. I think the goalkeeping positions. Paul, I was talking to a Scottish manager last week about a goalkeeper who was looking for one, and we were having a conversation about 1 or 2 potential candidates, and the first question he asked on both occasions, how good is he with the ball at his feet? Not about how good is it about keeping the ball at the net. First question, how good is he with the ball at his feet? And that's what they all ask now.
Jack Butland, has he got? That's one of the areas that you'd look for him to improve if he's going to be in under Russell Martin.
Yeah, probably. But I would say first and foremost for Jack Butland, just get back to keeping the ball at the net. It just wasn't good enough. That the what I would call the routine stuff, Paul, the bread and butter of goalkeeping, Jack Butland time and time again last season was miles off it.
And Celtic fans will be thinking Kasper Schmeichel wasn't a great end to the season for him, Andy, was it? He'd been so good for so long.
Yeah.
But at 38, and look, we've just said about the Hearts keeper who's 42, but
it's the one position where you can go on and on rather than an outfield player. But yeah, you're right. I think Kasper Schmeichel, his form tailed off towards the end of the season, made a big mistake in the cup final that got Aberdeen back in it. And these keepers are under pressure every week. And you know what it's like at Celtic. You are doing nothing for maybe an hour, and then you're asked to make a big save on the breakaway, and that's where the level of concentration has to be so high, and the demands are so high, because the previous goalkeepers that they've been exceptional.
who's going to come third, and also who's going to win it, who's going to be the runner-up? We want to hear from Andy Walker and from Mark Guidi. But we're heading towards the news. So I do want to ask you, the Lionesses, the England women's team, quite rightly enjoying more party time today in London, and why not? When are we going to improve in Scotland, Mark? It has been quite the last few years. Remember 5 or 6 years ago we did well, World Cup
in France. We threw away that lead against Argentina. Watched the game on Sunday night. Watched the celebrations today. I like the women's football. My eldest daughter first got involved in it 20 years ago. My youngest daughter is still playing. She's 18. She's now playing for East Kilbride, the ladies team. So I've seen a big progression at grassroots.
Have you?
And we've all seen it in women's football. It's great to see. But I loved it for England. I'm delighted for England. The goalie Hannah Hampton, brilliant, making those saves. Girls I've never seen it out. They're all household names now, which is brilliant. So it's great. But in terms of there's also a bit of jealousy, Paul. You said, right, what are we doing with our national game? Now I know we can't compete with the finances down the road. It's like our men's game, but we're not doing enough up here. I would go as far as to say we're just paying lip service to it. Another thing as well, you see all these young English women, good footballers, what they're contributing, great role models, great personalities as well, Paul. They've been allowed to show their personality off the pitch. We don't do that up here. After the World Cup in France with our ladies team, everybody went under the bunker. They all hid in a bunker. They weren't allowed to speak, they weren't allowed to promote because of the so-called incident with Shirley Kerr. And it's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous to treat our national game that way at women's football. So we've got a long way to go, and it starts at the SFA, and they've got to do better,
Andy, because we're trailing so badly behind, and you can't be failed to be impressed for, and it's not just women but the young women coming through, but it's given them a lift in England, hasn't it?
I've got a granddaughter, and she's kicking a ball, and you just want an opportunity. You want all these role models to be so prominent. And I watched the game the other night. I actually thought Spain were the better team, had most of the ball and should have won it, but credit to England, because not the first time that they come up against a team that were maybe better on the night, but they got the job done. And as Mark says, they are all very prominent, great role models for everyone.
It's been the spring summer of the underdogs, hasn't it? That's almost like the end of the old season. It is. And that was what I did want, because Spain are better than the England team, but I thought this could be England's. Young Florence, is she a machine? Is she a good player?
Right, left and right.
Yeah,
2-footed.
Good. Gets it from her mother. No, grandpa. Are you grandpa or papa? What are you?
I am granddad.
Grandad will be back. Hour 2, Mark Guidi, 0808 17 17 700, and the Andy Walker complaint line, same number.
This is the Go Radio Football Show. Call 0808 17 17 700.
Let's go!
This is the Go Radio Football Show. Listen anytime, wherever you get your podcasts. Call 0808 17 17 700.
Let's go!
Hour 2, thanks for calling in. 0808 17 17 700. We'll go back in the lines shortly as we get ready for tomorrow night. Rangers now in Athens for the match with Panathinaikos, and there is a £40 million booty there. Well, they're not going to get it if they go through tomorrow, obviously, but they've still got a chance. You've got to be in it to win it, and it's massive to stay in the Champions League. And Mark, we were saying before the programme, arguably it's a better draw if they stay in the Champions League with Pilsen and Servette. It could be tougher in Europa League qualifier.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I think they would settle. I think Servette won up, are they, from the first leg? The returns in the Czech Republic. So yeah, I mean, just stay in the Champions League and take what you get. But I mean, financially, well, you think if you're the new American owners that have gone into Rangers and you're Russell Martin, a new manager, you know, what a windfall to go and get that 40 million in your first sort of 6 months at the club. Long way to go. I mean, it'd be against the odds, Rangers pulling it off in terms of what they'd need to do between now and the end of August. But what a chance they've given themselves to get over the first hurdle.
It's been so long, Andy, since, I mean, young Rangers fans, of course, they'll remember 2001 winning the title, but apart from that, there's been precious little. A Scottish Cup, and they got to the final in 2022.
It's a generation away. Rangers' best results have been in the European stage. I know most of it has been the Europa League, but I mean, that is a really good level. Celtic have been racking up all the money that comes from the Champions League, obviously more difficult opponents, but Rangers will want to get through this. I mean, I think the big prize is obviously the money that it generates, and that would make a difference to their title challenge this season.
Andy, who is going to win the title this season? Who is it going to be?
As it stands now, I would say Celtic, and obviously there's a lot still to happen between now and the end of the window. I have absolutely no doubt that Celtic will make some signings, as will Rangers, but I just think Celtic have got the know-how, they've got the experience, and it would be truly remarkable if Russell Martin was to do what Steven Gerrard did a few years ago. I know it wasn't Steven Gerrard's first season, but for Russell Martin to come up in his debut season and get the title, that would be truly remarkable.
Celtic went into that season, as we all know, hot favourites to make it 10 in a row, and there was such a turnaround, Mark, wasn't it? 25 points, and I don't think anyone saw that coming.
No, I mean, I think the first Old Firm game was at Celtic Park. I think Rangers went 1-2-0, if memory serves me correctly, and Rangers never looked back from that. I mean, I think they went through the season unbeaten, didn't they? So no, they never looked back. They got it going. Clear there was you had to adapt in terms of playing in front of no crowds. You had to adapt in terms of your training sessions and how you went about your daily business, and Rangers just found a way of doing that. The players, the squad, the manager, and they won the title very, very comfortably. And you look back at Celtic that season, it was just a collective collapse. I mean, Neil Lennon bore the brunt of the anger, which I thought was very unfair. But you look at the recruitment, you look at the management, the coaching, and you look at the boardroom, and collectively they just didn't deliver.
Who's going to win this year, Mark?
The title? Yep. Right now, Paul, I'd have to go for Celtic. I think they've got a stronger squad at the moment, although there's a lot of work to be done. I think at Celtic they've got a manager that knows his way around the block, and it's not just about being a manager that knows how to win things. It's what you need to do on a day-to-day basis to win those things. You need to know how to handle the media. You need to know what living in this city is all about, particularly if you maybe hit a wee bump, just how to recover, how to manage that. And Brendan Rodgers, for me, is a master at that. The only thing that could, for me, the only way I would see Rangers winning the title is if it would need to be a bit of Celtic derailing themselves. And one way that there's a potential for that to happen is Brendan Rodgers' contract situation. That's got the potential to become an unwelcome sideshow. And if you don't sign, you're going to get asked that question. It's going to be there. It's going to be it's going to be at the forefront every week of the season. So I think it's in Celtic's hands to go and win it. But don't underestimate Russell Martin, Paul. I think he's a top manager, and I think he can certainly do good things at Rangers.
I said to Barry last night, so he didn't say it was down to 3 managers, but it was, I think, him, Russell Martin clearly, and David Ancelotti. And I said, was it part of the pitch that you said you were asked, how do we win the title this season? So he said, I don't want to get into the actual details of it, but he thinks that Rangers can and will do it this year. And I guess in a way, Andy, it has to be the question, because if you don't get success at Rangers, you're not going to survive.
I'm not sure you can look at Rangers right now and think, oh yeah, there's a way that they can get beyond Celtic, other than Celtic imploding. But Rangers good enough right now to take care of Celtic, even allowing for the fact that Celtic haven't signed as many players as the supporters would have wanted? I'll go back to what I said earlier. Rangers have lost a big player in Czerny because he can make the difference. I don't see many others that are going to scare you, and of course people can come up and really surprise you. Gassama could be a wonderful player. I don't know if Iggy is going to stay and be another player to build on that extraordinary winner he got at Parkhead towards the end of last season. You wonder how Rothwell will do and Aarons will do. Will Jack Butland be back at his best? I just think right now Celtic have got players that have been over the course before. They know what it takes to win the title. And despite the negativity at the moment with the Celtic supporters, I do think there will be business done, and there should be a level of excitement with new players coming in. They've still got a month to go.
One of the differences from this time last year, Mark, was that Rangers can beat Celtic. Now remember, they went a long period where they couldn't beat Celtic unless there was a game which it was right at the end of the season, but that changed. But you're right, Celtic was so far ahead of Rangers in general. For this season for Celtic then, who are you looking to? I mean, everyone's keen to see Kieran Tierney. They're looking to see, is Adam Ida, £9 million player, is it going to come good this season? Do you think he will?
Well, I have to, but you've the way you phrased that to me there, Paul, do you think he'll come good? Which I think is the way a lot of people view Adam. I actually think he has been good.
Right.
I don't think he needs to come good. I think he has been good.
Unfair, my question.
But it shows you the mindset of what they've actually. What's he done? Well, you look at the goal that he scored to get Celtic into the knockout phase of the Champions League. He scored the winning goal in the Scottish Cup final. He scored at Aston Villa. So I don't think it's about him coming good. I think it's about him improving. Obviously, you've got to go and do that and really find a way. If he's going to be the number one striker, like we're saying, that level of consistency, go and do it. So I think that's what he has to find in his game. But I think he's a really good striker, and it's about getting proper service to him. So where the Celtic thrive, where have they thrived in recent years? Down the wings, getting really good balls into the box. At the moment, that might still have him either. I've still got a concern that Celtic that they'll sell him because there'll be a lot of interest in him between now and the end of August. So, I think Maeda? Celtic, I think Celtic they'll do really well to hold on to Maeda between now and the end of August.
They couldn't sell him the way things are just now, Mark, could they?
Well, yeah, they could. Yeah, because if a 20 million plus comes in from it and the boys itching to go. As much as I think the Japanese, you look at Kyogo was wanting to go this time last year, but he didn't spit the toys at the pram. He was still professional. Whereas you maybe look at compare it to a guy like Kuhn. So I think Maeda might think, I want to go down the road. He might do. I don't know. Anyway, so there's that. Cameron Carter-Vickers needs to stay fit. Kasper Schmeichel, let's say if he does. Kieran Tierney needs to go and settle in, which I'm sure he will do. Callum McGregor, go and kick it on again, because you think about, he needs to be motivated as well. He needs a bit of freshness run about him as well. And then what they do in the wide areas, it's imperative that they get good wingers in the door.
Benjamin Nygren, people like the look of him, the right winger. He's done well so far. Early days, Andy?
Very early days, and just potential. You want to be excited by anyone in that wide position. It's been a part of Celtic's play over the last number of years, especially under Brendan Rodgers, where he plays with the main striker, he plays with two wide. The two wide are not just the type of players who lay goals on for others. They get goals themselves, and I think one of the great strengths of Celtic over the last number of years is the variety of goal scorers. You need a goal scoring threat from the middle of the park. Engels, Hatate, Callum McGregor chipping in last season with a good few from outside the box. So all of these qualities, you want to get into this, I wouldn't say new look Celtic side, but a side that needs, maybe 3 or 4 players just to freshen it all up.
Sinisalo, he's beginning to impress, isn't he? We saw him towards the end of the season, had a good penalty save.
Yeah, very.
Shootout the other night against.
He looks very capable.
Yeah.
Paul, he came in and, one thing, he played at Ibrox and wasn't phased. His distribution was good, couple of good saves. I don't think there's any doubt that Kasper Schmeichel is start as number one, but if anything is to happen to Kasper Schmeichel, or he has a dip in form, Sinisalo for me is ready to step in. So I'd have to say to Celtic, and then Stevie Woods, the goalkeeping coach, will be heavily involved in that. They've clearly identified that, because it's all, you don't want a major headache, and it looks like they're very, very strong in the goalkeeping position. If Schmeichel goes another year, Sinisalo for me is ready to step up and become Celtic's number one.
Shinya Maeda up front, Andy. I'm not sure how much he was going to play, but he's certainly confident, isn't he? And he scored the weekend in the game. He said he's stronger and faster than Kyogo.
Well, that's a big reputation to live up to, and you've got to admire his confidence, but at the same time you've got to deliver. So you'll be judged on a weekly basis, as every Celtic player is, and he's got a lot to deliver, because right now everyone just doesn't know enough about him.
News from the Rangers camp in Athens: Hamza Igaman and Thelo, so that's Thelo Ashgard, haven't made it, so they will not play tomorrow night. We mentioned that in the first hour, that they didn't train this morning. Everyone else fit and ready to go. More on that shortly. We hope to hear from Russell Martin. So, tighter this season, do you think it's going to be at the top? Final question.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I just can't see Rangers losing the amount of games that they did last season to St Mirren, home and away, to Motherwell, Kilmarnock, Hibs. They've got to be stronger at home, of course, and I think we'll be able to tell a lot by the first Old Firm game of the season at Ibrox, and it's one that Rangers will want to win.
Be great to see it, wouldn't it, Mark, to keep it
31st August, that right? 31st of August that is.
I think more pressure on Rangers to win it. I mean, Celtic can happily go there, get a draw as they did last season, but Celtic know what to do going to Ibrox. They've done it so often in recent seasons.
Who's going to come third then? So you're both going for Celtic first, Rangers second, and who is going to come third? Hard to tell, isn't it? 2 seasons ago it was Kelly, wasn't it? And then last season they struggled.
Yeah, I mean, Aberdeen did really well last year. A great start, hell of a middle, and then came strong. Obviously won the Scottish Cup, which was brilliant for Jimmy Tulane. I'm going to go for Hearts because of no European football, Paul, so they can just focus week to week. So it means that Derek McInnes can get some really good sessions, because you look at the signs they made. I mean, virtually going to be a new team. At Hearts, brilliant. They've held on to Lon Shanklin, great piece of business, bringing in Stuart Finlay, so guys that know their way around. There's a few foreign guys coming in that we don't know a lot about, coming from kind of what we regard as, if you like, lesser countries in the nicest possible way. But yeah, so I think Derek knows his way around the SPFL Premiership, knows it inside out, and he'll get the best out of those guys week in, week out. So I'm going for Hearts to do it.
On Hearts, Andy, Tony Bloom, of course, has put 9.5-10 million into the club, and they know their stats. They always know data. They're data driven, as you know well, at Brighton. So you'd imagine they'll be looking for really good players that they can maybe sell on. What do you feel about Hearts this season?
Again, I think they'll be a lot better this season than last time round. I'm going to go for Hibs. Right. I like the way that David Gray has recovered from a awful situation where I remember doing a post-match interview with him, and you thought, one more loss and he's gone. And I think you could almost see it in his eyes, you could see it in his face, you could hear it in his voice, that he knew how much pressure he was under. So he's come through that, and he's put together a side that finished third. And I know they've got the European football that can be a distraction, but it can also be an incentive. You want to get back there, you want to do well in Europe. The first leg result that you were referring to earlier against Midtjylland, I mean, to go there and get a 1-1 draw, absolutely terrific. I think everyone was expecting Hibs to lose that one. So I'm hoping that they can remain strong, be as consistent as they were in the for 2/3 of the season last time round. And I would like to see Hearts doing really well. I'd like to see Hibs and Aberdeen be strong. Dundee United, who did really well coming up as the Championship side last season. And you want your big clubs that you associate with European football, and giving Celtic and Rangers a tough time. You want to see them being really strong, and you want the league to be as competitive as possible.
David Gray was the kind of Houdini act of the year, wasn't it? Because I saw him, I was speaking to him and Malcolm Mackay at the Kilt Walk in Edinburgh, which was the middle of September. It's also this September coming up, and they were there. They had 250 Hibs fans were there. boys, girls, men and women were there, and you could tell by then they had a bad result the day before, and even that early, a month into the season, 5 weeks, it was beginning to go wrong. But it's quite a turnaround by David Gray. He says he wants to do it for the Gordon family, who've put so much into the club. I see today in the media a good interview with Derek McGregor in the Sun this morning. Mytherland, I think you're calling it, Michelin. Are they going to do it this week, do you think?
Well, hopefully with home advantage, Paul, and a packed Easter Road. But again, like we're saying with Rangers, a lot of hard work to be done. I mean, Mytherland did a really good result in their own domestic scene at the weekend, so they're a good side, and sometimes just coming, just picking teams off, they'll be good at that. So if David Gray and the players can get through that, it would be a really good achievement, and hope that he does well, comes across really well. And even last season when he was under pressure, Andy's talking about, he was one defeat away from being sacked, but he knew that, and he's the kind of guy that put, I know for a fact that during that period he was putting Hibs before himself. One of these guys who just try to dig on, looking for a payoff. He genuinely cares about Hibs. He genuinely appreciates the way the Hibs supporters, the Sir David Gray tag, obviously the Scottish Cup final 2016, but he appreciates it and puts the club before himself, and that's not always the case with managers.
So a wee bit of needle you too, and I like this. So Andy going for his old club Hibs, and you going for your beloved Hearts. I don't know why I said beloved. No, I threw that in. That's not the representative of Mark Guidi nor his lawyers, and that the Hearts through in Edinburgh. Because they were both bottom and second bottom of the table.
Oh, incredible.
It was a great weekend for Glasgow teams.
Terrible look for the league.
I'm kidding. Terrible if you're from Edinburgh. And Thomas is listening in San Francisco. Big Hibs fan. Huge Hibs fan. So he loves to tune into the programme. So we need to improve in the next half hour for you, Thomas. Honestly, it's early enough in the season. We can rip up contracts here for sure. Because Mark, you've been doing this now for 31 years, I reckon. Is that right?
I went into full-time journalism in 1994, so 31 seasons.
Still in the training course, yeah.
still to master the intro.
Could you repeat it 31 times?
Oh dear.
No,
love it.
31
great job.
years.
I've been so lucky.
You have
so lucky.
Yep, I know.
Yep, absolutely.
Being involved in football is great. I mean, to have a career is fantastic. 16 years full-time professional. And then I don't know why you did this, Paul, but you asked me to be part of radio 25 years ago. I retired in 2000. And then you get asked. I was doing a bit of telly, a bit of radio, writing a column.
I called you.
Remember teletext?
I do indeed.
A wee bit of teletext.
Remember that? Yeah.
So
in between booking your holidays.
I used to do a teletext line. The football latest used to do it. Jimmy Sanderson did it as well, and he went off, and I was doing it right. And then we get replaced by Santa, and we never came back. Seriously.
Dear.
But that was 25 years ago.
25 years ago, and it's just great to be involved in Scottish football. I feel lucky because I'm involved in English football as well, which I played there for about 6 years. And I really like going across all leagues. I'm down in Burnley in a few weeks with a Sunderland game. I'm going to other games shortly, so I feel really lucky to still be involved.
Yeah, you're living the dream, Andy, when you think about it, to play for such great clubs in your boyhood team, Celtic, and to get the success that you did.
Well, to play with, I played with Celtic at a difficult time, so to start off with a really winning team and a good team, I'm so pleased, so grateful that I had that, to win the league, to win the cup. They're memories that you can get a lot of joy out of, on an annual basis.
And Mark, your career, because I know I joke about it, but you were the goalkeeper. But hey, you were a professional keeper. I would love to have played football, but wasn't good enough. I played amateur, I played schools football, but so I genuinely, the idea of putting the boots on at that time and playing for a professional, which you did at St Mirren.
I only played the professional 3-4 years involved, but
sorry, think about that, Mark.
But I think
3 or 4 years.
What I've been very lucky. So pretty much all my adult life I've earned a living pretty much with connections to football, like Andy. So you've played since 1985, 84. So there you are, and then you've gone right into so all your adult life you've earned a living, which is fantastic. Yourself, Paul, it's fantastic, isn't it? It's been great, and so lucky to you've done it, played for your country, won titles with your team, played in front of 50, 60,000, you know, to do
very blessed,
all that. And we've covered it from the other side, all the World Cups that you've done, Paul, all the big games. It's been great, but genuinely, I genuinely feel very, very lucky to have what I've had in terms of my working life.
I don't in Spain last month, and the taxi drivers, you like football and stuff, when were you here? I'm like, the 82 World Cup. The guy looks at himself, we've got the oldest man in the world here, but it doesn't seem like it, you know. There when Jock Stein was in charge of Scotland at the time, and some of the players, you know, you'd Souness and Dalglish and all that, and we should have gone through, but we didn't yet again.
And you and I bumped into our good friend Archie McPherson, who's about
magnificent.
150
He's
now,
90 now, isn't he? Yeah,
covering a million World Cups and all the big games.
He was on here just the other week and he was speaking about the late great John Clark, and there's Archie. We've been so lucky, haven't we? Over the years. So
John
hopefully
Clark signed me for Shotts Juniors. Played for John Clark. So I played under two Lisbon Lions. Tommy Gemmell at Albion Rovers, who freed me and knew his stuff, and John Clark signed me for Shotts, and at that time Frank McGarvey was playing for Shotts as well. So there you go.
One of my favourite Celtic players, Frank
McGarvey.
Just that team around the early 80s, and I was going regularly. Brilliant.
His last touch of the ball was the winning goal in the 88 Cup final, wasn't it? 85. So of course he'd gone. I beg your pardon. 88 of course was
McAvenny.
That was
good
indeed McAvenny. So
he wasn't a bad player.
Yeah, the 85, the 100th Cup final.
Yeah,
that's when Hugh Keevins was on for the first time.
Is that right?
It was down to that one. That was another mistake that I made. On came Hughie, and he never went away, and he's still there. My point on this one is, who's going to come through this year? New players that will come through, and maybe in 10, 20, 30 years they're talking football, loving it and living it. Is it going to be Bailey Rice, we mentioned earlier on at Celtic, who would be a young player, or Finlay Curtis? Who are going to be the players that are coming through at Celtic? Who are the young ones that would might have great careers?
It is so difficult. We say this all the time about, you look at the amount of signings at Dundee United, St Mirren, even Hearts. It's very rare that they're going, and I know everything is driven by data and analytics and all the rest of it. The amount of players that are coming in from here, there and everywhere, very, very difficult to make that progress from the youth team, the reserves, the B team, whatever it is, to get into that first team. That's why I like what Hearts have done with James Wilson, and he's made his debut for Scotland. He's an international player now, so you want players like that to really step up and keep improving and see how far you can go.
0808 17 17 700. You can speak to these two legends, veterans, while they're still here.
This is the Go Radio Football Show. Listen anytime, wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's go! Let's go!
Paul Cooney, Andy Walker and Mark Guidi. Rob McLean will be here tomorrow night making his season debut, so we're upping the quality tomorrow evening. Rob will be here along with Richard Foster and also Peter Grant. So that's tomorrow night, 5 until 7. Let's go on the lines. Michael is on, a Celtic fan. Hi Michael, good evening.
Evening guys, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Hi,
how's your summer been?
It's been great, mate. Great.
Good.
We've enjoyed it.
Good stuff. So what's on your mind as a Celtic fan?
First things first, I'm a Celtic fan who's not really that worried about the transfer situation at the moment.
Okay.
I can understand. I've seen a few articles in the paper and about talking about how maybe disgruntled Brendan Rodgers will be at the transfer window, and I can understand a few of his comments over the summer in regards to a couple of the boys incoming, i.e. Maeda and Inamura. That they're not going to make an immediate impact in the first team, if you like. But I'm not too concerned at the moment. But as you guys probably touched on earlier on, with regards to Bryson Maeda, he can't be sold. I think that Celtic have got to put their foot down at certain points. But with regards to incomings, I'm not too concerned at the moment. So I probably maybe like to see, obviously, I mean, the spend isn't important. We all learned that with Barkas. Barkas, when Celtic needed a goalkeeper, went and spent 5 million. It wasted 5 million. Goodness knows how much of that we got back.
There's a name we haven't heard for a couple of years. Barkas, that's right. Yeah. But that's a great point. You can spend 5 million and it just doesn't work out.
But I would take issue with you, Michael. I mean, I think you've seen over the last number of years, if Celtic get a huge offer for Dyson Maeda, he will be sold. That's the nature of the club. That's how they do business. They will have someone on their radar that they can bring in. But anyone who can generate a huge profit, and you've seen it in recent years with the likes of Kuhn and Kyogo and Matt O'Reilly
Jota
recently and Jota. If there's big money to be made on any player, they will be sold.
I totally get that, Andy. But in regards to Maeda, I don't know. Call me stupid if you want, but I think he's reasonably happy at Celtic just now, and there might come a point where he's actually making that decision for himself and saying, listen, I'm quite happy to stay, but obviously we would need to extend his contract. And I'm not saying we wouldn't accept a 20 to 25 million pound offer, but he's so important to the team. He really is.
He's from what I'm led to believe, Michael, there's been an offer there for him and he's not signed it.
Aye.
And again, we play. I know to say no. I agree with Andy. Andy's right. Look, you look at another example down the road, and I know we're going to talk, astronomical numbers here. But Isak, Newcastle would love to keep Isak, but he's going to go. Mm-hmm. He's going to go. So doesn't mean there's not the kind of human being. Thankfully, he's very, very professional. He's dedicated and a lot of respect for Celtic. But he's not the kind of guy that's going to go and go public about. But he'll be aware, and he'll be on a list. He'll be on a list, a lot of lists of clubs, because of his Champions League numbers. It'd be great if he stayed at Celtic. It would be great. I agree with you. Yeah. He's brilliant, and it'd be great. And he's pretty much the heartbeat of that team, or whatever it was. Brendan Rodgers, you had a great phrase for him last season. So of course it would be brilliant. What all I said was half an hour ago, I'd just be prepared. I still think something could happen, and it wouldn't surprise me if he's sold. And see, if he is sold for upwards of 20 million, I would not criticise the Celtic board for that one little bit. I wouldn't criticise. It's a hell of a blow to the team and to Brendan Rodgers, but I wouldn't criticise the board for that one little bit. That's what they've got to do.
A new striker though, wouldn't they? Because they've lost Kyogo on this year.
That kind of takes me on to that kind of takes me on to my kind of other point that I've been thinking about sort of over the summer is obviously like Adam Maeda. We forked out the £9 million ish for Adam Maeda, but Adam Maeda thrived as a centre forward for Celtic, and especially in Europe. It's so dynamic, and he dragged the team positionally forward, and I don't think Adam Maeda sort of had that sort of impact that we were kind of hoping for. But I've got a funny feeling that Celtic might do a quick flip on Adam Maeda. I've got a funny feeling that we might sell him for £6 to £9 million and reinvest that in another striker. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen any of the pre-season games where we're popping it into when we're building from the back, we're popping it into a centre forward who's holding, and then all of a sudden it kind of gets forced in behind really, really quickly. I think there was one of the pre-season goals Tierney had put it through for Hatate squares it. I've got a funny feeling that's going to be a real feature of Celtic's play this year, is that the quick transition from the defensive positions. And obviously, if we've got Maeda on the left, if he stays, obviously we're discussing that. But I've got a funny feeling that we might do a quick flip on.
You've seen Celtic more than me. I haven't seen the pre-season stuff, and obviously get to see them at the weekend. I think it'll be a really telling season for Adam Maeda, because he does have a good reputation. He's got a cup final winning goal. He got that all important goal at Ibrox last season in the draw. He's got a couple of Champions League goals down at Villa where, his agility, his athleticism, it looked really good. I think there's an opportunity for Adam Maeda. If he's really on it this season, he could do what Kyogo has done over the last couple of years and get a really healthy goals return. And I know that now you play strikers for an hour. there's someone on the bench who comes on for half an hour. But right now, I don't see anyone better than Adam Maeda for Celtic. I don't see anyone who's got a better chance of getting off to a good start for this season.
Mark Stevie's on the socials saying, I totally agree with Michael. They couldn't sell Maeda at the moment. He thinks the optics would be completely wrong. No Kyogo. Ida yet to, I know what you said earlier on, Kuhn away. I know he's not a striker, but he supplied quite a number of goals. That they'd have to come up with some big signings.
Aye, Paul, I get it. You know, the Celtic supporters and Brendan Rodgers and every Celtic player, the thought of losing Maeda doesn't bear thinking about. But it's a reality that because he's been so good, that he's on the radar of other clubs. And it could well be, like I'm saying, it could well be, I don't know. But it's not just about Celtic setting about. If the player's agitating to go, Paul, Andy knows all about it. He'll be in many dressing rooms where you see it. Whatever he earns, he'll be well paid, and there's a new contract and offer from Celtic that I'm sure would give him a bumper pay rise, but he could go in and probably triple what he earns, whether it's down the road or the Bundesliga or Serie A, whatever it may be. So he might be the type that thinks, what, I've had 4 years at Celtic, I've been brilliant, I've loved it, but I want to go and try something different. And if that is the case, you can't blame him for that either. But first of all, there needs to be a bid acceptable to Celtic, then he needs to go. So right now he's a Celtic player, long may that continue. But I just think there could be a bit of movement with that before the end of August.
He's also on the. Sorry, Michael. I was just going to say he's just come off the back of a magnificent season where he impressed in the Champions League, which I think would elevate his value, and it would have to be an exceptional offer that would take him away from the club. But that's what some Celtic players have generated over the last few years: Jota, Matt O'Reilly, Kuhn, Kyogo. These are terrific sums, and Celtic are the type of club that do business at that level. Michael,
I was just going to say quickly on the guy's point earlier on the show about Sinisalo. You know, I think he's shown real improvement. He's came in, he's bided his time, and any time we've seen him, he's unlike any other sort of goalkeeper we've seen coming through at Celtic in regards to we've actually seen this goalie get minutes recently, and you know what? I've been really impressed by him, and I wouldn't be fazed at all if he was the number one goalkeeper going into the start of the season. And that's no a slight on Casper Schmeichel. He made a mistake in the cup final. Listen, mistakes happen everywhere. We all make mistakes. But do you know what? I would have no qualms about him going in as number one goalie at the start of the season.
I think Casper Schmeichel will start. I've not really seen the pre-season, a lot of the minutes, the pre-season games, Michael, but bearing in mind that there's so few games, competitive games for Celtic between now and the Champions League qualifier. I think it's only 3 games after Sunday. Likes a Falkirk at home in the League Cup, you probably normally expect maybe Sinisalo to get a run out in that, but the fact that you want Schmeichel to get minutes under his belt for his sharpness, for his relationship with the back four, bearing in mind that there'll be at least one new addition in terms of Kieran Tierney slotting in there and maybe one other. But yeah, like I said earlier, congratulate Celtic for their planning on the goalkeeping position. Stevie Woods would be heavily involved in that. He's been the Celtic goalkeeping coach for about 15 years. Sinisalo, whether it's this month or this time next season, he'll be ready to be Celtic's number one.
Michael, you looking forward to the season?
I'm really looking forward to the season. I've renewed my season ticket. I waited about 7 or 8 years to get my season ticket, and I am really looking forward to it. I think we've got to be excited about the new season. The Celtic fans, I think there was a caller maybe last night. He wasn't too sure about how excited he was for the season ahead, and as I say, I'm quite calm in the situation just now. There's another 30 days in the transfer window, and the sort of narrative that I've heard isn't too positive in regards to Celtic. But you know what? I think if the right player comes available to Celtic will not be scared to pump in 7 to 12 to 13 million pound mark if that's what needs the investment. And I'll tell you another thing. Arnie Engels, he's been really good in pre-season as well, and I don't think we should make a mistake in thinking that he didn't have a massive part in our success in Europe last year.
I think people forget how young he is, Andy.
Yeah, I didn't think Celtic would spend at that level, and certainly not on two players last season. This time last season, had Maeda and Engels, so it just shows that they want, or rather they can, very much able to invest at that level. And if they wanted to, as Mark was alluding to earlier, absolutely blow Rangers out the water with signings like that, spending money like that, they've got the money. But I'm not sure what level they'll spend at this season, and I think it is. I don't know what you think, Michael. Do you think Brendan Rodgers will stay beyond this season? I know that he's always said he'll see his contract out, but I think, like any player, you'd be saying to the manager, do you want to sign an extension? And of course the manager will be thinking, well, what are my conditions? What can I be working with? Do you think he'll stay?
Well, I think if we go back to the first thing when he re-signed with Celtic, I think the first thing he said, he would be here for 3 years unless he gets emptied. Yep. I think that was the phrase he used.
That was it.
I don't know if he would. It sounded definitive that he would stay here for 3 years. So that to me, listen, if he's happy and he wants to continue and he doesn't get the right offer for elsewhere, I dare say he'd maybe sign a 1 year rolling contract, which is absolutely fine by Celtic. They're still going to get weighed in because that's the model, isn't it? But I don't know, Andy. I dare say he's happy managing Celtic, and
I think the last thing you want, Michael, is uncertainty. The last thing you want is that question to be asked on a weekly basis. Because even if you come up with a definitive no, I'm not going to stay beyond my contract, then you've got the guessing game as to who will be his replacement.
The circus that would go with the question. Yeah.
And it does then when they know the manager's going, it changes things.
Rarely ends well.
Yep.
It rarely ends well when that becomes the case.
Michael, thanks so much for your call.
All the best, Michael. Enjoy the season.
Cheers. Thank you.
It's the Go Radio Football Show. Call 0808 17 17 700.
Let's go.
Go Radio Football Show. Paul Cooney, Andy Walker and Mark Guidi. We're just a few days away from the kick-off on Saturday. Kilmarnock Livy at 3, so that's the official kick-off in the Premiership, and then Motherwell Rangers at 5:30. We did say who's going to win. You both think it's going to be Celtic again. They would be going for 5 in a row.
5 in a row, yeah.
Rangers, you reckon second. I took that as read.
Yep.
And third, Mark is going for Hearts under Derek McInnes, and Andy going for one of his old teams, Hibs under David Gray. Can we look at a few of them? I'm not going to do the thing about Sir David at the bottom of the table. How are Falkirk going to do though? Stephen McGinn, our own Stephen, who's been with us for a few years, we're missing him at the moment, certainly tonight in the first hour. And that was just my performance. No, Stephen's one of the assistant coaches to...
Great move for him. Yeah, to get to get into. I know he was full time at St Mirren, and the academy. Yeah. He was hungry, so he's learned a good bit there, and under Stephen Robinson and his staff, and then John McGlynn clearly spotted something in Stephen, and it's a really good appointment. Stephen got good knowledge of the Premier League, having covered a lot of games last season, and he'll challenge John McGlynn. John McGlynn's a kind of coach that wants to be challenged in a respectful way. He doesn't just want to have yes men run about him, so Stephen will do that in that relationship. So yeah, but I mean, I still think they'll want 2 or 3 players to come in. Paul said they've got through in the League Cup, which was good, but they'll still be looking to strengthen their squad. Yeah, the League Cup games: Celtic against Falkirk, Celtic the holders, Kilmarnock Dundee United, Rangers against Alloa, Livy against Hibs, St Johnstone Motherwell, Morton against Aberdeen, Partick Thistle against Ayr United, and St Mirren against Hearts. Just seen a couple of your old teams there as well, aren't they? Some brilliant ties.
I was thinking that as I read them.
I remember the Morton Aberdeen games from way back.
Andy Ritchie.
Yeah. I mean, tremendous. Jim Tolmie. Fantastic.
Well remembered. Yeah. Indeed. So we're not going to do who's going to be bottom. Motherwell fan Alec has been on saying, guys, what do you reckon? What about the Well this year. I see Stephen O'Donnell saying in the paper today that the big money spending at Rangers, and Celtic have money, with the American money coming in, this will be good for the game and it'll trickle down. The Hearts effect, Hibs spending big money, £1 million player. What about your old team, the Well? How are they going to do?
I really hope they go from strength to strength under the new manager. We've yet to see what type of football that he plays, how he gets on with a big squad. How does he manage that squad? The first thing Mother will want to do is just steer clear of any trouble. Don't get involved where I think we would all expect, Falkirk, Livingston, maybe Motherwell, maybe even one of the Dundee clubs being down in the bottom half of the table. I don't know how Kilmarnock will get on under their new manager, Stuart Kettlewell. So I'm just hopeful that Motherwell can do really well. Obviously they're up against a tough opening game at home to Rangers, where there's a huge expectation on Rangers to win, but I'm just hopeful that Motherwell can steer clear of any trouble. That's first and foremost what they want to do.
Mark, what's your feeling about the Well this season?
Yeah, a wee bit of unknown. The clue they wanted to keep Michael Wimmer, he decided to go back and leave and take up another job in Germany. So the new coach has come in. What a start he's got, but what a great one to relish. Live on Sky Saturday night. Rangers, Russell Martin, I think they were teammates together at Norwich. So they know each other. It'd be brilliant. He'd be looking to get his teeth. But one thing that I'm sure that he will want to be resolved, because again he's not wanting it to become part of his weekly routine, is a Lennon Miller situation. So really I expect that one to be resolved in the next 4 or 5 days. But it'll be an interesting one for Motherwell. I would say, Paul, more bottom 6 and top 6.
I should have said Jim Leighton holds the record for most appearances by a Scottish keeper, 91 caps. Craig Gordon second with 75. Yeah, because he was always one of the top. Jim Leighton bumped in. He was at the Aberdeen Kilwalt last year, and I haven't said Jim Leighton because he was kind of incognito.
Good performance.
Honestly, it's a position where we've been blessed with so many good ones. You think of Alan McGregor, you think of Andy Gorham, think of Jim Leighton, obviously David Marshall, Craig Gordon. We've had some exceptional goalkeepers over the years.
St Mirren, Mark, looking to you first then, but we'll take a call just before it. In fact, Hugh, a Motherwell fan, is on the line. Hi, Hugh.
Good evening, how are we?
Good evening, all the better for hearing from you. I knew it was you with the transfer charge call. Hey.
I almost trying to reverse it. I'm just back from New York, that's the reason why, Paul.
I knew your accent had changed a wee bit. Yeah, Andy loves it, of course. His daughter's over there in New York. Did you bump into her? No.
I'm way well, I've done.
Yeah, indeed. So, Hugh, what are you thinking? New season, great expectations. Realistically, what do you feel?
Obviously, I spoke to you last year after Michael Wimmer left, and I says it was probably a bad but good time that he left to let us get another manager in, get him in for the pre-season. Yeah. And I must admit, watching Jens, how he sets up, especially how he talks, how he wants his teams to play. Fadinger and Watt in the middle of that park are phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. The ball constantly moves all the time. It's always on the move. The only thing I'm apprehensive with, but I'll let him do it, he's a manager, is playing the keeper so high up the park.
Yeah.
I don't know whether he's have seen that.
I saw he was caught out from quite some distance in one of the games a couple of weeks ago. That was a shocker, wasn't it?
I think that may be not a downfall for us, but it's something maybe open his eyes. I know he wants his keeper playing up high, but not in the centre circle for me. Yeah. Play up maybe 15, 20 yards out, don't have an issue with that. Don't have an extra 5 yards outside your box, do that. But not as high up as that. Especially if you play against Celtic, Rangers, Aberdeen, Hearts, they're too quick on the break for me. And if they suss it out straight away, as soon as we lose possession, which we will do in the middle of the park, midfielder will just hit it, just go for goal.
So have they got enough, Hugh, to steer clear of any sort of relegation trouble?
100%. I don't have any incline that it's not going to happen. The reason being is that what I've seen and what he's implemented just now, Andy, it's night and day from last April, the last 2 seasons.
I'm looking forward to seeing them.
It's so positive. He's playing with wingers. I mean, the wingers constantly interchange. You think, wait a minute, he was on that side a minute ago. He's now over the other side, and he's bringing on. He brought in young boy Said, he is a young boy trying to gain experience, but he's quick. He's rapid,
Good.
and I'm thinking, wow, he's going to take somebody.
Everyone needs a bit of pace in their team.
Yep.
Yes, we've got pace out in the wings now. Don't think Stephen O'Donnell will play much. I think he'll be a second half substitution to Rod, playing a few games now and again.
Paul McGinn,
Just to be
still playing.
100%. What an absolute hero, what an asset he is. And the guy, one of my good pals last week we were playing, he says, I never knew Paul McGinn was so quick. I says, we have missed him. He's so rested. You see the back in defence, he's so assured of the back. He calms everything right down, and you think, we totally missed him last year. Big, huge loss last year when he was injured. I think we do need a strong, big centre half, just to take that control, because Gordon's good in the middle of the park as well. I think that's what we're really missing. Stamopoulos up front, Stam up front, he's going to be big for us this year. He can see his movement, he's going to get service, and the service from the wide guys is going to be phenomenal. And I'm not just saying this because I have seen it and it's been progressing. Once we're probably big 6 or 7 games in, once we start clicking, we will take about 5, 6, 7 goals off a team easily, because we're so high up the park and we constantly press. The only thing we are missing is that end product, the finish, but it will come.
I like your confidence.
A few goals.
Yeah.
I like your confidence.
Andy, I come on and I say it how it is. I said it how it is last year.
Yeah.
We were quite poor last year. I didn't understand what we were doing. I couldn't see a shape of the team. I couldn't see where we were going, what the plan was. But I could totally get this. Jens he's got everybody on board, and I've never heard one negative thing about him,
Mark.
which is fantastic to hear.
Wow.
Hugh's buzzing.
Yeah.
It's brilliant to hear that, and it's getting thanks for the insight as well. Hugh, I've not had a chance to see Motherwell yet pre-season, but just on the goalkeeping thing, I don't think he'll change. I think they said in the show maybe about 6 months ago, I think the goalkeeping position in the next 10 years it will change beyond all recognition. They will really join in and be outfield players. Like I was saying to you earlier, the first question managers asked now, how good is a goalie with the ball at his feet? So they will join in the game. So that's going to creep more and more into modern day football. So you'll just need to, sometimes your heart's going to be in your mouth, but that's going to add. That's going to add to the drama.
Hugh, loving it. Thanks so much for the call. We'll speak to you after the game on Saturday, because we're in the last 2 minutes. Rangers will be in action before that tomorrow night in Athens. Andy, what do you reckon? They take a 2-goal lead?
Yes, I think they'll get the job done. 2 goals is a good advantage to have. I can only imagine that they will sit deep, just in deny them space in behind. We saw that they had a bit of pace, Panathinaikos in their team. And Rangers, as we saw last year in Athens against Fenerbahce, very happy to sit deep, but they had the players to hit on the break. They were really quick on the counter attack, and I think they'll get through the tie and go on to the next step.
Scoreline, I know it doesn't matter.
I think they can get a draw.
You think so?
Yeah, 1-1.
Fantastic.
I'll go for a 1-1.
1-1 would be. Mark, what do you think tomorrow night?
Rangers to go through, Panathinaikos to win 2-1, Rangers to go through.
And early on, are they going to get a bombardment there?
Yes. Or real backs to the wall stuff early on, and they'll come through it. But
they can't cave in. Even if they go a goal, 2 goals behind, they're still right in there
and
on the break.
Andy's point is right. They don't have that electricity on the counter at the moment in terms of their personnel, but they know how to dig in, they know how to get a result in Europe, and I think they'll do it again tomorrow night.
We'll be on from 5, the build up for the game at 7. Rob McLean will be here with Richard Foster, who of course is a coach at Motherwell, and also Peter Grant will be here. Andy, thanks so much. Enjoy
Always
the football
a pleasure.
weekend. See you next week. Hear
Looking
you then.
forward to it.
Mark, late in the week, Friday.
Lovely.
You'll be
Thanks,
here
Paul.
with Barry. Thanks so much. Good luck to Rangers tomorrow night, and good luck to your team. I loved that there from Hugh. Reagan was in great form earlier on as well, but Hugh certainly selling it there for the Motherwell fans. That's it from us. The news is next, and Jokel Day will be on just after.
This is the Go Radio Football Show. Listen anytime, wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's go!